Welcome to Outside Boys. This is the third video I'm going to be making on this, part 3. And I'm just going to give a brief explanation on what we've been doing. We've been fighting the front clutch system. This clutch system that I bought is made for a Predator 212. And then the clutch mechanism is designed how when you have a high enough RPMs, these springs stretch out. And then this circle thing grabs the inside of this. And it gets closer to the belt, which then grabs the belt, which then runs that pulley, which then runs the chain. So the problem we've been having is this engine has enough lower RPMs, but when you start going up a hill, it just dead stops you. It doesn't have enough high RPMs, because the Predator 212 has very high RPMs. And in this, your throttle is right here. That's all it moves. And a Predator 212 probably moves about this far compared to that. So it has a very low RPM compared to Predator 212. So what we've been trying to do is stretch the spring out to where this can come out and grab with lower RPMs. We have had the issue of stretching it too far and it just constantly grabbing. That has been an issue. We've had the issue of it not going out far enough and grabbing too much. So we're just going to have to play around with that. I'm not going to bother filming that because it's a long process of testing it, taking it apart, testing it, taking it apart. So I'm not going to bother filming that. So I'm going to go and let y'all know when I get done. And then when I get done, then I'll start putting body panels on it in this video as well. I'm back with this four-wheeler. We had a little bit of change of plan. We could not get the clutch system, the other torque converter system to work. So we're trying to go to a normal clutch now. The problem is, same thing. The engine doesn't have enough higher RPMs to spin this clutch fast enough to make it grab to go. So we're again having the same problems that we had with the other one. But there is one of those clutches off Amazon that's a high torque clutch that's about $56 just for one of them. So we're going to go that route and see if it works. Hopefully it'll work. I hope so. And we'll just have to wait and see. It's doing pretty good. With the other clutch system, it kind of moved. You just couldn't really get it to drive uphill. It would drive perfectly in the yard. When you went to go up a hill, the front clutch would just spin on the other clutch system, and it wouldn't go forward. Which meant the RPMs on the engine wasn't getting high enough for it to expand out the spring that was inside the clutch to make it grab the pulley to spin the belt, which spun the chain, which spun the axle. So that's where we're at right now, having to wait on parts. And when that comes, and I can finish this video and hopefully have this thing running and driving perfectly. It's been a little bit trickier for me to do this than most people diesel swapping things, because I want this to be able to tow a trailer off-road, do mudding, and all kinds of other stuff when I'm done with it. I don't want to just do this for views. I'm doing this for also, like, the fun of doing it. And wanting it to have a purpose. Is what my end goal is going to be. That's why I have mud tires over there I'm going to throw on it. To make it actually do something. And I have the entire body panel, or the entire body plastics for it. So when I'm done, I'm going to make it look good. And it'll look good, function good. Hopefully tow a trailer, off-road, go mudding, and stuff like that. That's what I'm wanting this to do when it's done. I know that engine will have enough torque to go mudding. I just got to figure out a clutch system to run back to the back axle to make it work. And I will have gears with this gearbox, which I've probably showed y'all this before in one of the other videos. But it's ran up to the shifter up here. and I have 2 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. So it should go the same speed forward and backwards, which is going to be even more sketchy if you go the same speed backwards than it is forward. So I guess that's going to be it for now until I get the new clutch. And then this thing should be done once I get the new clutch. I can start throwing plastics on it. And then I got to test it after that. Obviously, I'm going to test it as soon as I get the clutch before I throw all the plastics on it, make it look good. I'm probably going to do a paint to it too. Just paint it. I don't know yet. Y'all will see on this in this video. I'm back with part 3 for this video. I'm going to try something because I got a comment section. I had somebody comment on one of my videos, part 2, I believe, that the engine was flipped backwards. That's not his exact words, but and then that got me thinking that I knew the engine was flipped backwards because it would spin, because it's spinning everything backwards, which is probably the issue with why I can't get a clutch system to work. Because since the engine's flipped 180 degrees, it's spinning the clutches the opposite way that they're designed to spin, which means they're not designed to go backwards. They're only designed to pull forward. Which means I probably need to flip the whole engine around, which means I'm gonna have to cut that bracket off, cut this foot thing off, rearrange the whole thing, weld the other foot thing back on the other side, and then retry it. Which is what the next thing I'm gonna try to do. Because if I could do this without having to buy another clutch, then that'd be great. Which, I don't know if that's going to work or not yet. That's why I got to find out. I'm hoping it does. But obviously, hope is not everything. And if we could get this engine to pull this by flipping the engine the correct way, we were thinking about turning this into a side-by-side. Like a diesel swap side-by-side. Because I may be getting... I'm going to have a 4-wheel drive 4-wheeler here soon. And then if I have that, I will not need this to go off-road, really. I'll need this for work, not as a toy. It's not going to be very fast anyways. The 4-wheel drive one will be faster and better at off-roading because it has 4-wheel drive. And another good thing about this is I finally got me a tripod to where I can film the videos without having to hold my filming device. So it'll make this video a whole lot easier. I'm probably not going to film cutting the plate off and everything, just because that's going to take a lot. It's going to take probably about as much as it did putting it on. But at least I can film a whole lot more, and I won't have to drop my phone, which I have done in a few of my videos, because I am kind of clumsy, which happens all the time. So what I'm probably just going to do is I'm going to get it to run and drive perfectly first. Then we're going to put better tires on it, which is over there in that corner. And then we may side-by-side swap it, since we do have some 1-inch steel tubing, which we could easily, well, not easily. It would be a fabrication job, but it could be done. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is cut this foot plate off, cut the mounting plate for the engine off, unbolt the engine, and then start filming from there after the engine's bolted to the other mounting plate. Or I may go ahead and film real quick me unbolting the engine, because that's not going to take too long. And there's literally just 4 bolts underneath it. So I'll go and get the tripod set up and film me doing that part, and then we'll go from there. Okay, there we go. Got my tools that I'm going to use. There's the front two out. So now all I need to do is just pick this up, slide it over here. May have to lower it actually. Well then, I'm gonna find a good spot for y'all to sit and then unpause the video. There you go. I just had to lower it a little bit. And I'm pretty sure that's a good spot. Don't know until I start working. Hope I'm not in the way. I don't think I am. Yeah. Get that bolt out, set that over there for now. Okay, these two. Now this engine should be loose. And it is, which is a good thing. Waiting for that bolt to come out now. There we go, that bolt finally came out. Finally decided to come off. There's another washer here. And the engine's unbolted now. All I gotta do now is just pull the clutch off, which I could bring y'all over here to do that. Adjust this to be level. There you go. I probably actually need to lower it so the shifter's not in the way. This is my first time using a tripod, so it may take me a little bit to get used to it. But I'll get there eventually. That's a 10mm, I know that. Because I've had to take that clutch off so many different times, testing it. Probably took this clutch off 30 or 40 times at least. That's not a 13. It's not a 10. That generally surprises me. I know it's not a 13. Oh yeah, it is actually. Weird. Oh yeah, because I had to change the bolt. I forgot we had to change the bolt out. The old bolt that came with the other clutch system, it was a 10mm. But because we've taken the bolt out of the shaft so many times in and out trying to fix the clutch. We've stripped out the threads inside there, so we had to make new threads, which is why I have a different bolt size than it was originally. What the heck is still holding that thing on there? I don't know. I'll just pull the whole engine out that way. Okay. I'll take this off. I'll take the fuel line off, a couple other things. Well, probably is just, that line's not going to pop off. So I'll just take it with me. It'll be fine. Grab me a pair of pliers. Now I can get the fuel line off. So I'm going to take the part off that's right by the engine. Come on, quit. Oh, is the fuel still on? I thought I shut that off. Apparently I did not. Quit dumping. I could have sworn I shut that off. Apparently I did not. I need something to plug this while I'm, because I definitely do not want to hold it. This bolt will do it for now. Perfect. Well, apparently the fuel switch isn't working, so I just dump fuel everywhere. I do not like to do that, but I did not know the fuel switch wasn't working neither. Okay, there we go. So now, the engine's out, and the engine is over here now. Looks a little bit different than it originally did. Still the same engine. So now I'm going to have to unweld this. How many of these was there? There's supposed to be 8. Oh, yeah, there's some right there. Okay, so I'm just going to have to unweld this now. Not the best welds. But I am welding steel, solid steel, to a hollow pipe. So it's not really going to weld the best. That's what I need to do now, is just several things. Cut this off, cut that off, put this mounting plate over there. Just start to reverse everything that I already did. Shouldn't take too long. It's probably going to take a few hours, which I do not want to film that whole process, because that'd be too much of a video for y'all. So I'm just going to stop the video, do that, and then continue the video. So I guess I'll see y'all when I get done with that. Then I'll continue this video and maybe fix this thing without having to buy anything else. Hopefully. Oh yeah, I forgot to catch y'all back up on this video, but I ended up cutting the frame in half because I'm going to go the side-by-side route, because we're going to have to make an entire custom frame anyways to get the engine to fit in here correctly. Took the back rack off, took the foot thing off, cut the frame in half, obviously. And where I'm at right now is I'm taking the seat bracket off, this one and this one, to where then when I rebuild it, I put the seat bracket wherever else I want to put the seat back on it. And I may not even use that seat again, or if I do, it's probably going to be sideways, this way, because it's going to be like a side-by-side way. So that's what I'm doing now, is just taking this off, and then I get this off. I'm also going to cut this, which holds the shock in, because, oh well, I may not actually. Well, no, I'll probably have to. And then cut this, and extend the back axle back here, and then put this back here-ish, and take some of this metal, obviously not this piece, slide it over this all the way up to this piece, and run it out as far as I need to connect that to, make my back framing and stuff. And then it'll be longer. The back will be longer. It'll have more suspension in the back that way. And it'll probably be better for towing. And we're going to stretch the frame, or may leave it the same length and just stretch the back and then make the front sturdier and hold the engine in. Not quite 100% sure yet. We're just kind of throwing the idea around about it. We don't exactly know yet, but also I cut this bracket off that was over here. I went and cut it off, and I'm going to do the same on this side to where we can run our square tubing out on top. And over here on the bottom, it's already flat, so we're going to run a piece of square tubing there under this. That's why I had to cut these two front brackets off that held that thing on. So we're going to under here and over here, so it'll have the structure it needs. And then I'm getting another frame with this same round tubing, and I'm also going to throw this round tubing inside there, weld it. So it's going to have plenty of strength, I hope. And everything's going to be custom except for this front part. I may even put some kind of round steering wheel on it instead of handlebars, since it's going to be a side-by-side. It's probably only going to be a single-seater side-by-side with a bed and a front rack, which is going to be this rack. I'm going to weld to the front of it, make that work somehow. So I have a front rack and a bed, to where it'll be more useful for work-wise. We haven't quite figured out what we're going to do yet. It's what we're figuring out as we're going along. And I'm going to try to keep y'all updated as much as I can. I did do quite a bit without updating y'all, because I forgot to. So I guess I'll go ahead and continue, and then update y'all as I go on. And I'm really curious to see how the end product of this is going to be. Okay, there we go. I took the brackets off and got this disconnected. I'm probably going to put a dual shock system in the back instead of a single shock, because that would be more support in the back and more strength for when I tow, so it doesn't just collapse the back suspension when I start towing. And somehow I'm going to have to remove this bar so I can slide one of them on to where I can get it stretched out to about here-ish with the bar. But the weird thing is, why is there one support over here and no support over there? That doesn't seem very supportive. Which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me of why they did it that way, or why they, I don't know. But I do know that I am going to, when I get done with this, make a T-support bracket for it, which I'm going to have to cut this off too. Which means when this is cut off, this bar is going to be gone. And I'm going to have framing coming out to probably about here-ish. And the tires are probably going to be about a half a foot farther backwards than they are now, because I'm stretching this, which puts a lot more pressure on the single shock, which also lengthens that, which will raise it, which gives me better ground clearance and that kind of stuff. Helps me out in a lot of different ways by stretching that. But it also means I gotta tune the framing a lot. So I'm going to do something that I'm going to call a T-bracket. It's when it's ran out to about here, with those two bars, ran out to about here. I'm going to have a bar going here or here somewhere, and ran down to here. So it'll support it more than just this one bar, or I may do a double bar from here to here, up, angled, to this single bar that's going to be about here. After I stretch that, there's a lot that's going to go into this. a lot. I just gotta figure out how to rig it all up. And then get that engine to fit in here too. Which that engine's a pretty big engine. It's taking a lot of work to put it inside here. Especially with it having to be turned around how it is now. That's what's taking the most amount of work. Because I'm gonna have to extend the frame, make the frame wider right here at the bottom. Make it wider somehow, some way. Which I've not figured that out yet. Because that's what's going to have to bolt the engine to support the engine weight. And the bracket for the engine, which is right here, is probably going to have to be, and I flip it over again. Probably have to be about like this. Somewhere. Which means I need extra framing coming out. I may put it up about this high, actually. Level it off there. To where then I'll have even more support. What I'll probably do is get actual the right length. Not this bar specifically. Run it about like that. No crap. Not like that. Like that, there, and up here, and in the middle of this bracket. And then I can place this bracket however far out I need it to be, or however close in I need it to be. Probably have to be about here. Put one in the middle, right here, and put one on the outside out here. Which then will give the engine plenty of support. Then I'll just have to connect the front back to it, and re-support everything. Which theoretically should work. I'm not 100% sure yet. I am going to try to get this system designed how I want it to be. Because this is designed to slide in like this, and the gear go here. That gear go here, and the pulley slide out here. What I'm going to try to do is put this out about that far, put that gear out here, to where then it will be in the direct center of the engine, which will make it pull better. But the one problem with that is, if I get it that way, again, this line's in the way. So I may just have to use one of these clutches, which is fine. It's just going to take... That just means the engine has to be farther out, sticks out like it was, which isn't too big of a deal. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes. And probably the next step for me is cutting this off, making it flat to where it'll fit how I need it to. That kind of stuff's probably the next step right now. And to where I can stretch this. The only problem is, when I stretch it, this cord for my shifter is only so long. And I don't want to be reaching behind me to shift the gears when I'm driving it. So that's going to be a problem. But I'll have to figure it out. I'm just figuring this out as I go on. So I guess the next thing I'm going to do is try to figure out how I'm going to stretch all this, get all this tuned to how I need it to be. I'll obviously have to cut some of that bar to where I could do all this and start putting this thing back together and maybe have it working in this video, or if not, next video. Okay, here we go. I got this disconnected, and this is all that's left of this little bitty frame. And next step is, what we need to do next is stretch this bar out, make it longer. Doesn't need to be too much longer. It probably only needs to be a couple inches. Right now, from here to here, it's about 9 inches. About 9 inches to that flat bar there. And I need it to be probably about 13. So that's not very much more extension, really. I'll probably extend it to probably, 13, 16, something like that. Just to give it some more extension. This is probably going to suck trying to steer when it's done. Means you're probably going to almost have 0 turning radius at all. Which is going to be pretty difficult. But I'm also getting another frame tomorrow, which is gonna be where my other back shock comes from. That one's obviously gonna be the best out of the two. So I really do not know. But I need 2 shocks in the back. I do not need 1. I need 2. Especially since I'm extending that out, so there's going to be more leverage, which means more pressure on the shock. And this bar already bent. Just a 1 shock. I don't know how much y'all can see it. And that bar that the shock's holding on to was already bent from the old owner. With 1 shock. And with it being short. So it being longer, the 1 shock's just not going to hold up very good. And I'll pretty much be collapsed on the bottom of the suspension the whole time, which I do not want. I want to have quite a bit of suspension travel. The front, there's not really anything I can do for suspension travel, except for air the tires up more, but I don't really need to, really. That's where I'm at right now. I'm probably going to go ahead and cut this off camera, flatten it, so I can take some bars to it, and then pick it back up when I'm done with that and figure out what the next step's going to be. There we go, YouTube. I get this off. I cut this off. I flattened it to where now it's square instead of a circle. That one I went a little too much on. And then I obviously couldn't get a hammer in here to flatten these, so I just cut them off to where they're flat now. Because all we have is square tubing. Some weld square tubing on the outside of that and run it up. So it's going to be probably about here-ish. It was up this short. And I'm going to make it probably about this much longer. And just weld square tubing there, square tubing on top, just to support it extra. May run some on the bottom as well, to give it as much support as possible, because a lot of weight's going to be on this rear end. A lot of weight. Because whatever I'm towing, whatever job I'm doing, is going to be, all the weight's going to be on this rear axle. So I need as much structure back here as possible. Which is easier said than done, honestly. Way easier said than done. So this is where I'm at now. Obviously, I need to get some square tubing, like we have there. Weld this up. I do need to finish cutting this bar off. And then cut all these adapter things off so I can slide square tubing over that. Get all the square tubing I have welded, fixed, and everything. And then start putting it back together. We're already on the put back together stage. It's already taken apart as much as we need to take it apart to do what we need to do with it. Everything else is just going to be throwing it back together. And obviously, just because I make it easier, I'm going to straighten this up, make both the top bars the same length. I obviously cannot add on to that, because right now I do not have any more round tubing. But everything we've designed is ready for square tubing and round tubing at the same time. We don't just have round tubing, or we don't just have square tubing. It's going to be both combined into this. And it's more than likely only going to be able to fit one person on that seat. He's going to be sitting like that, sideways, on this, like this. This is how it's going to be sitting. And obviously the seat you can pull off, because this is just going to be with a normal four-wheeler clip underneath the seat. And this front rack is going to go on the front over here. And I was thinking about somehow turning this into a steering wheel instead of a handlebars, like more side-by-side like. I don't know if that's going to be any possible or not. So next step's going to be getting me some tubing. Yeah. I'm going to get some of that steel tubing, connect the rear axle how it's supposed to be connected, and make the back frame how it's supposed to be connected, and then pick it back up when all that's done, and the rear axle's back connected. All I've got to do is just cut this bar off, cut all these adaptions off, weld a square tube from there to here, and that'll just bolt straight to this long bolt. And this, I need framing to run out to here or more. I'll probably stick it out farther. There's more framing I put here, obviously, the more support I need to put in it, but the bigger my bed area is going to be. Because I'm going to have a massive flatbed back here, is what I'm going to have. And a front rack on the front. Or a rack on the front, and a massive bed in the back. And I'm going to stick it out as wide as the axle is. Like a normal side-by-side. And the seating arrangement's probably going to be as wide as it is, too. I may even double up on my seats. Because I do have 2 seats. So I could make it a double person rider. I know it's going to be slow either way. Because it's a diesel engine. It's not made for speed. It's just going to be a towing monster. A work monster, you could say. So that's where I'm at right now. Getting really close. All I gotta do is just put it back together now. And make this framing for this and everything else. Then I'll pick it back up when the rear axle's on. And I got the bars cut for here and welded on here for the engine. And maybe the engine plate welded on. I could film me bolting the engine down. Like I filmed me taking it off. And then that'll probably be it for part 3. Just because this video is already a long video. I guess I'll see you on a little bit when I get that all connected on and these 3 bars welded here and that cut off and everything ready to put the front end on. There we go. I ended up getting everything welded together or tacked together. I still need to go back through and gap weld that entire thing all the way down on both sides. It's still not quite done welding here neither. Just tacked it all together, really. I should have cleaned it, because I would have cleaned the surface before I welded. It would have looked prettier than that. You know, obviously I'm still not done, so it's not going to look as good as it normally would. So now all I need to do is just unscrew this. I'll put you on the tripod, unscrew that, bolt the rear end to this, and see what the next step is. Probably finish welding everything up. That'll be the next step. Okay, there y'all go. All I need to do now is just take that bolt out. This very long bolt. It is. Once that comes out, remove that. Sit right there. Get everything ready. Put this rear axle back on. Jeez, shift a little bit. There we go. How it should. These are not out of the way enough. Once those out the way enough, should theoretically just slide right in. There we go. It's sitting there good enough. It should be the right size. it is. Move this board, spin the whole thing. That's hot. More bolt. Okay. Almost through. Okay. Now, I need to see if I can push that down good enough. Which I can. This to slide through. There we go. Okay. Almost through. There we go. That's the bolt that holds the rear end together. Okay. Gonna move my welder out the way. Bolt on. The other end of it should be. I forgot where I laid it. I think yep, I found it. Okay, now I just need a wrench that'll fit this, which is right here. And then set this on and hand tighten it. Okay. Throw the wrench on. Okay. Stand the ratchet. Need some more leverage. Make sure I flipped it off. Don't want to over tighten it, because I still want it to flex a little bit. I may have over tightened it actually. And one way I found out, nope, I did not. That's what I wanted to do. A joint is supposed to work like a joint. So now, the entire thing is put together ish. Got everything welded up, got the brackets on, everything on, and it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be a big machine when it's done. So now all I need to do is finish welding the rest of everything. When I finish welding all this, and finish welding that, I get the thing on back there, which I do need to see. Where's... Oh, it's on my side. I do need this to stick out about 13.5 inches for it to meet this. This does need to go up to match with that. So middle it has to go out 13.5 inches. To the back of it is 2.5 feet. Which I may go all the way to the back tires. Which means I need a 2.5-foot piece of metal. Now, which is... shouldn't be too hard to find. I'm gonna have to go 2 foot and 4 inches out the back, which is still 2 foot 4 inches. It's gonna put me to about right here, which is almost gonna be the back of the tires, almost. So if y'all can already see what I'm doing, my plan is to put the bar out in here to where obviously it'll hold the shock. I'm going to put 2 shocks in the back, and I'm going to make this into basically a side-by-side. That's why the frame's cut out in the middle, because the seat's going to be there, where that piece of metal is. The engine's going to go underneath the seat, like a normal side-by-side would be. And then your feet is going to be wherever you want it to be, and that kind of stuff. And obviously, we do have tires to replace those crappy back tires, because those are bald as crap, and I do not want tires that are almost completely bald to be on this rig when it's done. It's going to take a little bit, but any project like this takes a little bit. Hoping I can get a clutch system figured out on that engine, because one problem we're having with this engine is we couldn't get a clutch to work on it to drive the chain, which drove the axle. Couldn't get a clutch system to work on it. So that's still a problem that we have. But while we were trying to figure out a clutch system, we couldn't get the engine to fit in there correctly, except for the one way we could, which I put the engine in there backwards, and it kind of was outside the frame. That was the only way we could get it in there correctly. So now, we're going to put it in the frame correctly, but we had to cut a lot of the frame out, which definitely comes to a disadvantage, and sometimes an advantage, because we still had to cut, I dropped it, still had to cut this much out of it. So there's zero support here. When we get done with the engine, we'll have to make support for it. And the plan of how we're going to bolt the engine this time is actually fairly simple. We're going to take, or I'm going to take, these 3 pieces of metal. One there, one here-ish. Then take my mounting bracket. And put it there, kind of. It goes that way-ish. And since we're having since we had to make an entire custom frame, I'm gonna turn it into a side-by-side, which means it needs to be wider anyways, where you could fit 2 people. I don't know why you'd need 2 people on this, but I mean, it could happen. For my first test, it's just going to be a single-seater, but I do have a second seat over here, so I may turn it into a 2-seater later. I don't know yet. First test, it's just going to be one-seater, though. Which is going to be a little complicated. We do have the metal for the seats. It's right there, and some over there. And we're pretty much out of metal after this. This took up a lot of the metal we had. A lot of it. I wonder if any of these round pipes will fit. If this round pipe will fit over this. Nope. So I'm going to have to use a square pipe. Or square tubing, I should say. So I'm going to take that out of that. Then I can go ahead and finish welding the shock. Well, no, I cannot. Because tomorrow, I'm getting a second shock for the back of this. So I run a dual shock system on the back, which will make it better for being a side-by-side if you have a dual shock system, like most side-by-sides have. And my plan to put the dual shock system on it is right here where this shock is connected. I'm going to put another one of them brackets right beside it. What I mean by that is, and I'll get this out the way. I did not mean to hit the phone there. Hit the mount. This is how the thing mounts. So I'm gonna cut this off, move it over here, put another one over here, move this over here, put another one up here. So we're gonna have two shocks that's gonna be pretty much right beside each other, to where it can hold even more of a load without just collapsing the suspension when you hook a trailer to it. And I will eventually get a hitch put on this. Definitely not going to be in this video. This is probably about all I'm going to do in this video, actually. Without getting another video, because this video is probably a really long video. Or it is a really long video. I don't want it to be like 3 hours long. It doesn't take too long to edit. So I guess I'll finish welding everything up. I'm not going to mount the engine yet. I'm just going to finish, instead of tack welding everything, I'm going to finish that. And then pick it back up when I'm done with that. Okay, what I decided to do for this is just in the video here. I'm still getting everything finished welded up, cleaning everything just to get it welded. But in the video here, to where then this video is not too long, doesn't take me too long to edit. And go ahead and get this video posted. And then part 4, I'll come back with everything cleaned, tacked together and everything. And then part 4, I'll probably start with the dual shock system, putting that on and everything. And we can get this thing done. Which I'll be glad to get it done, because I've been working on it for quite a while, and I'm kind of want it to be done. So this will be it for this video. Like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any other ideas for me to do with this while I'm building it up. See y'all for part 4.